Next on the bench, we get a Tram D201. He says you turn it on, it's a loud hum. So we got a couple high voltage caps there. And there's this power board. It's got caps on it. We're going to start with recapping this. Then we'll put some new caps in these metal cans place. There's usually like 3 to 4 capacitors in one of these cans. That's next on the bench. Tram D201. Stay tuned. Wish this camera had a decent autofocus. It doesn't seem to work. I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong or what. Anyway, so we got a capacitor here. .22 at 400 volts. It's a polarized electrolytic. Done this before. It works. This is a non-polarized capacitor. 600 volt rating. So we're going to put that in its place. And it works. I've done it before. Works in a pinch. Yeah, trying to find an electrolytic with that value. Yeah, I don't got anything like that in stock. Not even close. So, just about done. We got all the caps replaced except for that one, and it's next. Alrighty. Catch me later, Psychotech Labs. Okay, now that all the capacitors have been replaced on this little power board, we can plug that back in, and then we'll move on to the high voltage caps. They're in the big can capacitor, metal clad can capacitor. Yeah, we'll be replacing those, looks like tomorrow. I guess we're not going to the Rick Rail Ham Swap meet, so yeah, I'll be staying home working on the Tram. Catch me later. Psychotech Labs signing off for now. Okay, today we're going to replace these capacitors here. Each one of these cans has more than one capacitor. So that's what we're dealing with right there. So this little one has 4 10 microfarad caps in it. This big one here has 3 40 microfarad caps in it. And we're going to go with 450 volts DC. Whoa. So let's get this thing flipped on its back and get the bottom off, get to replacing these caps. Okay, this has already been recapped. Everything looks good here on the bottom. So we're going to button it up and flip it back over and start testing tubes. Oh boy, lucky me. Yeah, that means we'll be using my tube checker. Oh man, the fun I'm gonna have. Catch me later. Okay, so these here have been replaced by with a new capacitor by somebody else. We recapped this little power board here. We have serviced the relay using a burnishing tool to carefully file the point contacts. We have tested all the tubes. We had to replace 2 tubes. It still doesn't work. So these things got a safety interlock switch right there. The next step when you're working on tube stuff is, now since we've already pulled all the tubes, tested them, this test is kind of probably academic, but we're going to do it anyway. It's called a wiggle test. So we're going to fire it up, and we're going to take some of these tubes here. and just kind of wiggle them. And we're going to do it with it on. So we're going to bypass the safety. That safety interlock's kind of worthless. I mean, there isn't one on the bottom. There's not really a lot up here on the top that can get you. So it will be pretty safe to get our hands in there, wiggle on the tubes. So we're going to do the wiggle test. Then after that, we take our SAM's photo fact. I actually got a big schematic too. But to our SAM's photo fact, and we're going to go ahead and troubleshoot the plate voltage for the tube. So these are all 6GAH tubes here in the audio stage. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look on the schematic. We're going to figure out which pin is the plate of the tube. Then we're going to be looking at for a voltage somewhere between like about 260 volts to about 320. So we're going to look for voltages around there. This way here, we'll know what these three tubes, the plate of these three tubes are, so we can knock that test out on this stage here really fast. We're going to have to test this section too, but that's pretty much where we're at. Stay tuned, we'll get back to you. Okay, so we've made a few tests in the audio stage. We've tested this tube here and the high voltage stage, and it has high voltage going to it. That's good. We tested that tube there, that's part of the audio stage also, and it has high voltage going to the plate. It's pretty much spot testing the high voltage, we got that. So while I was testing down there on the audio stage, if I touch the probe on the plate, makes a pop in the speaker. Audio stage is active, it's just not getting anything into it. So now we're going to look at the low voltage, which we did. This is our synthesizer board. If that's dead, nothing's going to go into the audio stage. We tested the low voltage on that with our meter. We're supposed to have voltage at a couple of these points here. We don't. So now we got to backtrack to where the and find out why we're losing our low voltage. So we'll backtrack that using the schematic, and we'll test at the source and see if we can figure out where our low voltage is, get that working, and hopefully that'll bring this thing online. It's got to do something because it's got no power going to the synthesizer board. So let's get on tracing that. Okay, so this is basically the low voltage power board. Now we put new caps in this thing. Okay, that there is basically a diode bridge, and we've got AC voltage going in, and we have DC coming out. That's supposed to go up here to this part of the voltage regulator transistor, and we've got it going up to here. We have two little outputs here, there and there. We got buckets coming out. So I ordered a new voltage regulator transistor, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this project up for now until our trainee shows up. Yeah. Catch me in a bit. Next time we talk, I'll have the new training installed in there, and this thing should be up and running, hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's right. Psychotech Labs signing off for the moment. Alright, so it's going to put up power and everything, but the freak counter is going nuts. So it's doing an alignment on just the output of the final. And I noticed something when I was messing around with that adjustment. I could actually get it to start working right on the freak counter. But this adjustment's not acting right. Here we go. Not showing proper on the freak counter. But when I adjust that, it's cutting in and out. So wow, man, too good to be true, right? Maybe we're onto something here. I'm gonna take one of my parts trams. We're gonna pull that part out, replace it, and see if we can tune this thing up and get the proper frequency reading on our freak counter. So stay tuned, we may be closing in for the kill on the Tram D201 project we've been working on for a while. Okay, we replaced that tuning capacitor and it made a difference. Frequency counter is not freaking out. It's out of adjustment though. We're going to have to try to get that adjusted up. So thank you God for helping me out with this one. Yeah, what a pain in the butt. Still have a few more things to do to it. But yeah, we replaced that little knob right there because it didn't have one. So yeah, I guess we'll just be waiting till tomorrow or Monday probably. We'll go ahead and do the alignment on that. The rest of the channels are pretty much in alignment, but yeah, 17 and like there's like 4 of them that are off. So we'll get that done. Catch me later. Psychotech Labs kicking some butt on the Tram. Here we are back on the Tram project. So now that we got the frequency counter stabilized, we're going to go ahead. We're off frequency a little bit. So we're going to adjust the trimming capacitor for the crystal that handles 17, 18, 19, and 20. See if we can get it a little closer on frequency. So let's get to that right now and we'll be right back. Okay, so we got our new microphone for the camera today, and we run some tests. Seems to be working good. Okay, so back to the Tram project. So AM is done. And we got it lined on frequency and everything. So one of our symptoms, we go to upper sideband, we have 4 channels in a row that don't receive on upper side. And this here, when we go to manual for the VFO, is not working. So the troubleshooting chart says that in this board here, crystal 108 being bad would cause that. So this here's a parts board. We pulled crystal 108 out, and it's that one right there, and swap that out, and no, same thing. So next on the trouble chart says the relay. So apparently the relay could have something to do with that. Now, I didn't really have a good relay to stick in there. I got one that has some issues, but we're going to throw it in there and see if we can get that relay working good enough to test out the relay aspect of this. So that's what we're trying to do now. We got to get the VFO working for sure. We're going to go ahead and make that VFO work on transmit and receive, so that way you can get all 40 channels. Alright, well, I'm going to go over the parts unit, and I think that's where the other relay that I have that's bad. But yeah, as long as it works good enough to test to see if that stuff works, that's great. Alright, Psychotech Labs with a new microphone. Oh boy, isn't this an exciting day? It's the Takstar. Yeah, the Takstar microphone. Cold shoe mic for the old camera. Alright, well, let's get back to work. Okay, so we put in our extra relay that we have. It's not the best, but I mean, it seems to work. I have the exact same symptoms. Okay, so we changed the crystal, we swapped out the relay, same symptoms. So the troubleshooting chart next lists the a couple of tubes and a little adjustable coil. So we're going to go ahead, shut it down, and we're going to pull those two tubes out. We have two different tube testers. We're going to test those tubes on the one that tests more advanced test modes for the tubes, and see if maybe one of those tubes are bad. Although we've gone through these tubes more than once. So anyway, that's what we're going to do next. Check out the tubers. Catch me later. Psychotech Lab signing off for a minute or two. Okay, so we tested that oscillator tube, and we'd already replaced it. It's a brand new tube, well, new old stock. Okay, so I've gone through the schematics. It's really a simple basic circuit, you know. So this switch here, basically when you go to manual, there's a set of 3 contacts in there. When you're in the receive mode, that relay dead shorts to ground this switch. So we're going to be testing that. So we're going to test the orange wire, and that's the output from the relay. Yep. We're going to test this yellow wire. Okay. So what this switch does is it grounds the cathode of the oscillator tube, and that energizes the tube. So I'm gonna have to flip this thing over on its back now, and we're gonna have to test for high voltage at the plate of the oscillator tube. Also make sure we have continuity. It's pin 6. No. Anyway, the cathode pin of that tube, we're going to have to make sure that that's getting the full connection to the crystal manual switch. So yeah, that's where we're at basically. We're going to flip it over, Make sure that we're getting a connection all the way to the switch, and that we get high voltage to the plate of the oscillator tube. So we'll be right back after we get that done. Psychotech Labs, homing in on the problem. See ya. Okay, so there's the oscillator tube. It's supposed to have 110 volts at the plate, and we got 64. So there's a couple of dropping resistors there, and yeah, it looks like we're going to have to replace those, and that should get the voltage back up. We'll pull them out and test them with our parts tester, see how far off they are. But yep, I was hoping maybe it was going to be a quick, easy fix, just a problem with the grounding. But no, I test the switch and it's going to ground when you flip it on manual, which shorts out the cathode of the tube and activates the tube. So I don't know, man. We're going to have to, that's the only thing I can see wrong. So we're going to have to figure out which one of those two dropping resistors. One drops it from 400 down to like 275, and the other one is supposed to drop it down to 110. I got 275 going into it and 64 coming out. So yeah, we're quite a bit light on the plate voltage on that. So I don't know. That's what we're going to do. Catch me later. Psychotech Labs signing off for now. Oh, before I go, we lost some video footage of after we replaced the transistor in this in the 14-volt power regulator board. That cured the problem, got rid of the hum, brought the receive back online. Then we had the problem with the transmit, showing it's putting out wattage, but the frequency counter was going nuts. So that turned out to be a bad capacitor in the tuning, the final tuning of the final stage. It was way out of resonance. So we put in a new ceramic mica tuning cap, and we were able to get everything tuned up, and it's working fine now. So yeah, before anybody freaks out after I finish making this video, go, hey, what about? Yeah, well, I don't know, it's on one of my other cameras. We've been working on this thing for a while now. We work on it, and we put it off to the side, and then we'll work on it, put it off to the side, but we're damn close now. He told me he doesn't really care about sideband on it anyway. We're going to definitely see if we can get the sideband and everything going, but we got to get the VFO going, because that way he can have 40 channels. So alright, we'll take on that project tomorrow. Catch me later. I'm out. Okay, we are going to replace these two resistors. We got the replacement ones in. These resistors drop the voltage to the plate for this tube, but it's dropping it way too much. We're at about half of the plate voltage we want. So today we're going to try to get the VFO circuit going on Psychotech Labs. Wish me luck. Alright, well, it's alignment time. So I ended up replacing the synthesizer board, and now I have receive on 17, 18, 19, and 20 on upper sideband. The VFO is still not working. We have a problem with a AM carrier on sideband. We are going to go ahead and do the final tube neutralization procedure. So yeah, break out all the alignment tools and everything. Yeah, ooh, scary alignment tools. They're professionally called diddle sticks, by the way. So yeah, I broke out the diddle sticks for this project. Okay, got the scope hooked up to pin 5 of the final, and camera's not wanting to focus. So yeah, going off camera for this. We're gonna see if we can get rid of that nasty carrier and sideband. So stay tuned. Okay, so today we went through the sideband mode, got rid of the carrier, we aligned the transmitter stage, we replaced the channel selector board right here, synthesizer board is what they call it. Yeah, everything's working out except for the VFO, so stay tuned for that. We're going to try to get that damn VFO working next, and then this sucker's done. Catch me later. Psychotech Lab signing off. Okay, somebody has dicked around with this right here. They put this jumper here and moved this diode from there to there. Not exactly sure why, but that's not how this one is. So we're going to put it back the way this one is, and then we're going to finish doing our VFO mod. Alright, catch me later. Yeah, that's right, we're back on the Tram D201. Closing in for the kill, I think. See ya! Okay, the Tram project. So we swapped out the whole synthesizer board. That's the crystal board with a channel selector and stuff in it. That fixed the problem with us not having upper side on 4 channels. It did not fix the VFO, which I was hoping. Yeah, I've gone through it. I got the Sam's photo fact. I got other schematics for these. The manual crystal switch was not wired right. White and red wire was soldered over with the white and orange wires, so I fixed that. Every time I find a problem and fix it, I'm like, yeah, it's going to work now. No, it still doesn't. There's a 4 megahertz oscillator circuit in the synthesizer board. We pulled the synthesizer board out, pulled the transistor out, tested it, tested fine. We went ahead just for the hell of it and swapped it out with another transistor. VFO still doesn't work. I'm pulling my hair out on this one. I am going to take my Tram out of service on my station, bring it in here, then I'm going to throw it on the bench in this spot here. We're going to go through it, we're going to analyze it, because it's 100% operational. So we're going to test out everything on there. As of right now, the damn thing should work. Everything seems to be fine, but it's not working. So yeah, we'll have to use mine and compare it circuit by circuit until we figure it out. Because I'll be damned if this fucker's kicking my ass. Alright. We added a little shelf there. Yeah. Put all our driver linears up there and stuff. So yeah. Done it so far. we get to work on this thing, right? Alright. Well, that's where we're at on this. That's what we're going to do. Now I just gotta pull it out of my station and bring it in here and go through it, and we'll get this sorted out. Alright. Psychotech Labs. Got a tiger by the tail, and we're going to pull that tail off. See ya. Okay, since this is a lab, before I tear my Tram out, let's do a couple of experiments. Okay, so we got my signal generator there. We got it dialed up to 4 megahertz. We're going to inject that signal into the I'm on focus, to the VFO circuit, and we're going to see if that brings the VFO to life or not. Well, let's find out. Okay, so I injected a 4 megahertz or 4.4 roughly megahertz signal into the oscillator, and it's making no difference. Yeah, like I said, the switch was not wired right for manual and crystal. I'm gonna have to look into some other stuff. It's like it's bypassed. When I go to manual, I'm still on the crystal as far as receive. Yeah. So it's like it's not switching over. So even if we did have the 4 megahertz signal, it's probably not going to make any difference, because for some reason we're not working. Alright. That's looking like tomorrow we're going to have to pull my Tram out and go through and copy everything that's been done to it and do that to this one. That way I'll know the switch is wired correctly, because my Tram works in VFO mode. Yay! Alright, that's where we're at. It's Psychotech Labs. Stay tuned for tomorrow's continuing adventure. Okay. So, pulled my Tram out of the station, brought it in here. First thing I notice is, you know, the conversion that was done to make the VFO stage work with the transmit. So we got a 4.5 megahertz signal coming out of my synthesizer board. I do not have that coming out of this synthesizer board. And remember we swapped synthesizer boards and cured a problem. 4 channels on upper sideband were not working. Now they are. But that kind of should have cured the problem, because that's actually a symptom tied in with a problem in the synthesizer board, one crystal. So now we're going to get out our handy dandy voltmeter. We are going to test every voltage going in to the synthesizer board, and we're looking for discrepancies. So this is going to be way faster than mulling through all these schematics. There's 3 different schematics that I have, and yeah. So let's fire up a voltmeter and get to taking some voltmeter measurements, shall we? We'll be right back on Psychotech Labs. Okay, I just went through both radios with the voltmeter, fruit counter, oscilloscope. All the voltage is going in to the synthesizer boards are pretty much spot on. just not getting that that 4 megahertz signal. I don't know, man. It's really starting to piss me off, because the damn thing should be working right now. And comparing it to my Tram, yeah, it should be working now. We copied everything over, you know, from one radio to the other, and yeah, they should be working identical. So we're gonna have to go in. I'm guessing it's got to be in that synthesizer board. But I mean, to have two synthesizer boards that that don't have the 4 megahertz output. This one here, it's making it work on those 4 channels that USB wasn't working on. Which, like I say, that's a symptom in the symptom chart of the it's crystal 108 being bad. Well, it's working out because I got the USB. I don't know. I'm going to go ponder this over for a while, come up with some other tests. This time we'll have to test in the synthesizer board itself, make some tests. We've tested the main output transistor for the oscillator stage for the 4 megahertz, and it tested fine. So, frack it, man. I'll be back. Well, I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to pull my synthesizer board out of my Tram and put it in there, and then if it works, then we know conclusively that that synthesizer board has a problem also. So I don't want to do it, but I want to nail this down. All the tests showed the same as mine, so it's got to be in the synthesizer board. Probably a bad crystal. Got a crystal tester I ordered yesterday. Maybe someday it'll get here, but until then I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet and do it. So let's get her done. It's Psychotech Labs. Okay, because I'm a nut for abuse, we're going to make some more tests on the Tram. So 4.5, or is it 4.4? Anyway, somewhere around in there. Megahertz signal that is supposed to go into a tube that's in the VFO section. On the VFO section is supposed to work. I have yet to figure out what in the hell. I've even pulled my Tram out of my station, hooked it up, compared every aspect of it, and all the measurements were the same. I took my channel selector board out, which is the synthesizer board also, put it in there, same thing, no VFO. Works in mine, doesn't work in this. Okay, so there's a little RF cable with an RC jack on it. It plugs into the synthesizer board. So we've unplugged that. We have our signal generator ramming a 4.5 megahertz signal into that. So we're going to go back and hook the scope back up directly to the frequency counter signal generator assembly I've got hooked up. I'm going to reference mark how much it's showing on the scope. Now I've already got it hooked up. I just run a brief test. I put one of those little test pins. I soldered to pin 7 which is the input for that signal. And we got something, but yeah, I didn't reference mark it yet to see what we're at, pumping it direct into the scope. So what I'm thinking is maybe something shorted out on the input, so the signal's not making it into the tube. So we're going to run with that theory, set up our laboratory to actually perform those kind of tests. Yay! Alright, I'll be back after we do it to it. See ya. Okay, wrapping up this tram here. This is the one that's been giving me all this grief for literally, I've been working on it off and on for maybe a year now. So much stuff bad in it. Jeez. The only thing I didn't have to do was recap the high voltage, but everything else was fucked. There wasn't anything in there that was working right. Okay, so just putting out power now, it's receiving now. My friend said don't worry about the VFO because he's only going to use it on channel 6 and channel 17. So I'm like, cool. So I cut him a little price break, and yeah, that's where we're at on that. It's going home to its daddy. Psychotech Labs wrapping up the worst tram I've ever worked on. I don't even know how many trams I've worked on. I've worked on that many. I own one. Absolutely the worst tram in the worst shape that I've ever worked on. Except for one that I kind of turned down. It wasn't a lot left. It's been cleaned for parts. I had a couple of tram parts radios. Yeah, that's how I bought them, as parts radios. Alright, Psychotech Labs, signing off. Thanks for watching the videos. Y'all have a good day. We're out of here. Bye.